To reflect on feminist philosophy, we're going to dive deeper into the tension between de Beauvoir, Butler, and Irigaray. Both Butler and Irigaray are influenced by de Beauvoir's work. De Beauvoir's famous quote, "One is not born, but rather becomes a woman," explains her view on gender. She believed that there's a you that becomes gendered over time. Social and cultural expectations force a person into a gender, while a person isn't inherently a gendered being. She also wrote about how women navigate social expectations and limitation. The film Little Women is a good example of this. The film focuses on the relationships between the sisters and explores gender roles. They act out plays, pretending to be men, and the main character Jo has a successful career despite being a woman.
Butler also believes that people are not born a gender, but she believes they rather do a gender. Gender is a series of repeated acts and behaviors, and according to Butler, there's no real you. There are only certain actions that make a gendered you. Gender and being are the same thing for Butler. De Beauvoir argues that there is both a being and a gender that society imposed on that being. In Daisies, the main characters have an existential crisis. When they do not act like women, they lose their sense of humanity. This aligns with the idea that gender is a series of repeated acts, for when they do not follow these behaviors, they lose themselves.
Irigaray is a bit more radical. She says that there are two distinct sexes. Her main focus was language. She believes that we're speaking in a male-dominated language and that we should develop a distinctly feminine language and subjectivity. Both Butler and Beauvoir did not write about the role of language on gender perception. Irigaray also argues for new forms of relationships between men and women, believing that heterosexuality doesn't have to be oppressive. A film that corresponds with this ideology is Barbie. It explores the relationship between Barbie and Ken, making neither of them the bad guys.
Shonda Rhimes has said that she hates it when people say she writes smart, strong women. The alternative, she said, would be writing what? Dumb, weak women? Nobody, she pointed out, praises people who write smart, strong men. When you make smart, strong women in and of themselves noteworthy, you reinforce that they are exceptions to something, and it almost doesn't matter what. We ourselves made this mistake as well. In our sub-question, we addressed that feminist films have strong female protagonists. As if naturally assuming that most women are not strong and that being strong is an exception, you only see in feminist films. In conclusion, feminism is a movement and ideology that has existed ever since women were oppressed. They have fought for centuries and are still fighting today. When women came together in the Seneca Falls Convention of July 1848, the first wave started. After that, 3 more feminist waves occurred. Films have always reflected societal issues, and feminism was a part of that. This shows in the number of films that we analyzed, with dialogues that the filmmakers try to send their feminist message. To show that female characters are feminists, most women in the films speak about their dreams to have a career or talk about their feminist ideas. The films also illustrate how misogyny has an impact on women's everyday life, by making actors play sexist roles and even making the male characters threaten the female characters. Most films align with their ideology, but a few of those films are ahead of their time, addressing abortion rights and exploring female sexuality. The films address sexism and feminism in different ways, but mostly they follow a female protagonist who fights against sexist injustice. If they don't, the films follow a female character who endures sexism and misogyny in the world, showing how bad it can get for women.
What we've noticed is that female characters have progressed from being victims just wanting to be equal to men, to strong women who actually enforce the equity themselves. Most women show violent behavior and raise their voices about awareness about rape culture and the oppressing role of the patriarchy. Most films use humor to ridicule sexism, but little actually show any type of feminist protests. Women in films take initiative in conversations, have more important roles, and have other concerns than their husband or their children. We believe that this is linkable to the 4 waves for those fought for a woman's right to be more than a wife and mother. Female characters in films have evolved into multi-dimensional characters who are well written, resulting in a more dynamic portrayal of gender roles and women. With every new wave, new societal issues were addressed, raising awareness about them and fighting them in the process. The waves were and are movements that ensure that women are seen from and heard of from all over the world, reflecting their voices in films.